on Facebook. And today, Simone Claire here with True Better You, and as your natural and consciousness healing expert, I am going a little bit forward with an interesting story after I close that. Hang on. When I was sitting today doing my practice, I definitely connect with what's need to be said today, what makes an impact on you. Whatever I'm sharing has an impact on making your life, say, lighter, easier, brighter, bring healing through words to you. Otherwise, it's always a little bit difficult, right? So healing, as the Western world knows, is obviously when you're sick physically, that you're going through a healing process. And that's what, most people are, just looking at. If they are physically fine and they don't need to go to a doctor, they don't need to take medicine, then they are healthy. And that is not the whole truth, as most of us know. There's a lot that need to be looked at, because we are not just our physical body. We have evolved from the animal kingdom. We are product of the animal kingdom. We grew out of it because we have gotten the consciousness. We can think. And everyone knows that is very subjective, and it's not the same as your physical body. So there is quite an evolutionary progression in that. We could say there is somehow often also now demonstrated we are kind of a subject because we can think in and often contrary to nature, which is more seen as the objective world or object. And we are very antagonistic, often demonstrated as that. So I would like to bring a little bit more closure to that and harmonize that a little bit together today with you, to bring some hope also in that we don't have to be on neither side of an extreme. You don't have to completely cut out nature. You don't have to completely go back to become fully engaged into nature, thinking that's the way of doing. Those are parts of it. It's a partial truth. I do think everything needs to unify together with their opposite sides. Sorry. So today I would really love to talk about how can we know the truth even in the moment of death. And I would like to share a story that I have experienced myself. Well, I wasn't the person or the living being that passed away, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be here, right? So, but I was definitely involved. And this living being was also not a human being. The first story I have for you, the first thing I want to share was a little goose we had. And that little goose, we got them, as eggs delivered, right? They have been hatching with us. So they accepted us, obviously, as the parents. My former husband, he had a bigger place of land, and we had chickens, but I never had geese. So, and finally we had them geese. And one of the little geese had obviously an issue. But we didn't know, they grew up quite nicely. But it turned out to, I mean, it came about that this little goose was hissing a lot. And it was, I mean, the most aggressive in the whole group. But it came out a little bit later, so when they have been more teenagers, so to say, and it started to, I mean, hiss at me and hiss at my former husband, and we have been wondering what's going on. And so we decided, especially my previous husband, he decided to take it in, to say, okay, we want to give it a try, how we can do it better. We want to see how we can help that little soul to grow and heal, obviously, because everyone else or every other goose in the group was totally cool, and we love them, and they did heal, I mean, present themselves very nicely, so to say, right? So they have been really fun to watch. So we said, okay, maybe we can do something and give it a special treatment with more attention and with more love, and also with more a different type of food, even though we didn't change that much. But we definitely put more attention to the goose. So the goose came into the house, we had it in a box, and we made sure that there was always some attention to the goose. And even at night, that wasn't my preferred way, so I would not have done that, but that was totally cool because my husband wanted to do this way, and okay, let's try that. And I mean, we could clearly see that the goose got better. And it was to the point that we decided to want to let the goose out again, maybe in a couple of days. So it was just a matter of a couple of days that we would have released the goose. But as I said, this was my former husband, so we didn't have the best relationship occasionally, so we went into a fight. And I told you we had the goose in the box, was with us in the house. And we didn't pay attention to, when we got into a verbal fight, that the goose was sitting on the counter. I mean, the box was sitting on the counter with the goose inside. And just imagine the block of counter we had, I mean, so in an island. It was sitting in the middle, and I was on this side, he was on the other side, and our words went across. I mean, crisscross, right? So, and as a German, I can be really intense, so can he, right? So, well, I can tell you, after the fight was over, the goose started to have, I mean, the old symptoms back within minutes, and within hours, the goose was in a, I mean, really bad situation. And we had no idea what happened. There was nothing that could clarify it. There was nothing that, in our opinion, has happened. So, and actually the goose died. That really shook me, because I wasn't taking that into meditation. And that's years ago now, I think, I don't know, 13 years ago or something. It took me, I mean, to a place when I was sitting with that I started to realize the power that we have to bring something across. So also in the way that is not wanted. So that intense information that is passing through, I mean, it has been passing through to the innocent, taking it in, the goose, right? So the goose did receive the information and did had an already weakened system. And the system of the goose obviously responded with being in harmony with the information that we shared. And I wasn't the nicest information. I was so, devastated. And it took me deep into the center of my heart, where I realized, oh my God, we did that. We contributed to the health of the goose in the first place. And within a powerful fight, we took it also to the other turn. That really woke me up in the first place, where I was, from my heart, I was very heavy in my heart. And over the years, I started to realize that heaviness in the heart, that is of huge importance when it comes to healing. So we often don't realize how much we reflect in the outside what's going on in the inside. And my heart was so heavy because our relationship wasn't the greatest at this point, and my whole life had gathered so much of heaviness to it. And I didn't know how to release it, obviously, in the proper way. So fighting was one way of releasing, of course, where you stand your ground and you think you're powerful. But the information that you're sending with that and that other receiving with that is really not helpful. So long behold, now let me tell you the second death experience I had with someone. This time it was a woman, and don't need to go into the story that much. It was only that I had the precious moment with that woman in death, which was unexpected, and I didn't know this will happen, so she didn't know it will happen, and therefore there was also no thought to it. There was no concept to it. I was a little bit younger than I'm now, so I was not contemplating a lot about death at this time, physical death. So I wasn't busy with thinking about dying and thinking about death and what does it do and what people think about it. What I wanted to say is that when I was with that woman in that second, it was, she passed on. She had the last breath out. Her body folded together. She was sitting, so her body folded together. Her whole body started to completely relax. And I also had a strong sensation in my chest when that happened. But I still didn't know what happened. So because it was so unexpected and I wasn't prepared. And because I wasn't thinking about it. I didn't have a concept of death yet because I didn't experience something. And no thought came before that this will happen. I had the precious moment with her of when she passed. And it's moving me to this point. There have been certain sensations, there have been, content, I would say, that came in. This might be the best to describe it. I really have to say, in this moment, it was beautiful. Even though, of course, passing on is for sure not something that the most people see as beautiful. But just the process itself was something that I never heard from someone talking about. So my frames, how I refer now to death, is quite different than the majority of people probably tell you. And this is what I want to get across for us today, for you today. I would like to share that to ease a little bit. Often the stories that are told, or the experiences and the mindset that is framed for that person in the society they grew up with. They have concepts about what death is and what should be done and how you should behave. But when it comes to the moment when this happens, it's quite different. And I want you to, open up to the possibility that there is something very, very powerful, very, very beautiful actually in this moment that is away from being afraid about it, that is not of something bad. And even though that the woman passed away, but when I looked backwards, she was not alone in this moment. And I think that is something of importance, that we realize that she had one of the most beautiful passing that I ever have seen. I haven't seen this in movies. I know my grandma has been dying, and but I just was to the burial. To the funeral. So I didn't see her dying, right? So I have seen animals dying, but the majority of people want to have a different outlook in order to see the truth in this. And for me, what I really deeply experienced was there was a transformational process. It wasn't painful, it wasn't bad, it wasn't something where you want to hold on to a concept. In truth, it was something, seemed to be very natural. It seemed to be powerful. It seemed to be something that was okay for the lady also passing on. She did not show any signs of fear. She didn't show any signs of resistance. And she is still living in my heart with that. I'm so grateful and thankful for having that experience with her. So often, and that's what I want to say, when we are looking for healing, we are often holding on to concepts and ideas from other people. That is totally normal because that's how we grew up. We have concepts, we have thoughts, we have ideas, opinions, and so on that have been passed on to us. That is okay. We are grown up this way. There's nothing you need to change on that. The only difference, I'm asking to find more about truth, and especially in the moment of death. And death can come in many ways for many things. Can be a death of a period in your time. It can be a death of a habit you have, right? Death is a continuous theme in our life. So we want to not ignore it, and we don't want to be afraid about it. So I want to ease that a little bit in today with the talk we have. So I would like to see that death becomes a natural process of a transforming into something different. So I would like to see that the concepts we have become, or we have heard from other people, are concepts, ideas, and the wise person, the person that is more knowing about that, can all see through those layers and can bring that information back to him or herself and still know who they are in their core, and can see through all that and knowing it's all okay as it is. So I would like to see that instead of holding on to the concepts, They will come into your mind. There's probably nothing we can do about it. And as soon as you can realize that you hold on to it, give it a try of letting it go. Just allow yourself to relax into and let it go. Maybe you have then some beautiful, actually deep experiences in those moments of huge transformation that you start to value, and you can put into your box of experiences and live a little bit less afraid, hopefully, because that is really what holds us tight to many things in life. When you stay really thinking about what that concept is conveying you. You always have a choice to receive the information, so to say. So, well, we have thoughts that come and you may start to act and react on it, but as soon as you are able to pull out of it, just let that go, don't hold on to it, and see if you can stay in the moment with not knowing how this really will go, experiencing the moment a little bit more. So it really shook me. Those are two events in my life that has been really making a mark that I can put into my memory box as important. Remember that you often probably have asked other people when you wanted to experience something, like, how was it for you, right? So suppose you want to go, try riding a car or something like that, right? So you never have been doing that before. And then you go and ask the other drivers, hey, how was it? And you're really not knowing. And so you try to pick on the experience of other people. You know that is often not really helpful, because when you try it out, it might be completely different. So that is, I want you to open up that you can listen to other people's experiences. Is a smart idea. So you can step into the shoes of that person and notice if there was something that they may need it as an experience, and then you can see if that's an experience you want. You clearly trust that you can listen to someone. You don't have to take their experience as granted and saying that is how it is. That is for sure where I'd like you to open up. There's always someone else will tell the story in a different way. It's a given, because it's subjective. And it's you have the ability to ease yourself in, that's okay. But as more concepts you have and you hold on to them, as more difficult it gets. So as you can relax into it and see, now wait a minute, let me see what happens, as better it gets. This makes you stronger in your core, and you are easier than the next time when something seems to be lost, seemingly, right? So you're more open to say, no, well, let me see if that's the truth or not. So you are more willing to check out if you can hold your truth, that you know it will be your truth, not the other person and not society. And so you can bring it back to yourself and use the other experiences as something that may ease you in, that helps you to relax. That's okay. So I'm encouraging you, if you want to make an experience as an entrepreneur, right? So it's great to see what other people have experienced and where they want to go and how it's be done or whatsoever. I'm not so sure if that would work so good. I have tried that myself as well. taking so many marketing classes to come to the point that the most I need to really throw in the trash. That's not me. It's not how I feel, it's not how I think. And for that, I loved that I spent the money for the education to know now who I am much better than I knew years ago. And I encourage you to do really the same. There's no wrong step. Just come back more into who I am, what is the experience I want to make? Is that an experience I already know? If not, can I stay open to experience it? And just stay there and pick it up and go to the next step. So that is probably a more wise idea. If it's necessary, which is much, much better, in my opinion, when you can step into the shoes of other people, of other situations, when you learn that, so you don't have to make certain experiences. That is probably one of the smartest ways. So you sit in meditation and you are starting to experiencing that what maybe other people told you, or when you have a strategy that someone suggested to you. If you can take that with your conscious ability and follow through in your state of mind, right? So stepping into it, then you will see what it will do for you and what it does not, and how you can make it your own. And I do think that is the more important thing that we will need in healing as well. So that is a healing process itself. And well, just explained in different categories of your life. So a different reflection of our life. So trust life, trust the process, that there are reflection on the outside that will show where you will need some more attention, because that what really heals is your consciousness. That's the awareness, it's your consciousness to it. When the consciousness can go through completely, fill out everything, you have seen everything, then the problem disappears. That is a given. So I hope you can, create now your own healing story, powerful healing story, even through the situation of death. And death happens every day. So loss is something that most people can relate to. Maybe it will change to be not anymore loss. Maybe we can see it as a transforming process that is very natural and normal, and using our capacity, our conscious capacity to ignite those processes for things you really don't want. They are not healthy for yourself and for nature, the society, the whole world. So I hope that was an encouraging story. I would love if you would share some stories about your healing experiences, because that's more what healing is. Get everything back into flow in every level that exists, right? So please share your healing story with me. That would be fantastic. So there's a comment box below, and feel free to also connect with me on truebetteryou.com. See you soon then. Next week. All right, bye-bye. Hope I see your healing story.